Can I keep my house? What happens to my retirement account? Do I lose half of everything?
This is general divorce information. Laws vary, so check with a legal professional in your area.
Laws vary, but smart strategies don't. This channel helps you avoid common mistakes and make better decisions during divorce. Today, we'll discuss asset division. It's important to understand that asset division, debt division, and buyout options are often connected. That's why these topics are covered in a 3-part series. To get the full picture, be sure to watch all 3 episodes. In this episode, we'll discuss what assets may be involved in a divorce, how property may be classified, and how courts generally approach property division. We'll also walk through a practical example to help bring these concepts together.
Before we discuss how assets may be divided, what exactly is an asset?
An asset is anything of value that you or your spouse own. Common examples include a home, vehicles, checking and savings accounts, retirement accounts, investments, business interests, and personal property such as furniture or jewelry.
This sounds familiar.
It should sound familiar. We covered this in our previous episode about divorce documents, including the financial affidavit. We discussed gathering information about income, expenses, assets, and debts. Identifying assets is an important first step because property generally cannot be divided until it has been identified.
What if one spouse handled most of the finances?
That happens often. During the divorce process, financial information is often exchanged so everyone has a clearer picture of what exists.
What's the next step?
One of the next questions is whether an asset may be considered marital property or separate property.
What is marital property?
In general, marital property is property acquired during the marriage.
What is separate property?
Separate property is often property that belonged to one spouse before the marriage.
Why does that matter?
Because before property can be divided, it often needs to be classified.
Can you give me some examples?
Let's say one spouse owned a car before getting married. That car may be considered separate property.
What about a house purchased during the marriage?
Property acquired during the marriage is often considered marital property.
What about an inheritance?
In many situations, an inheritance received by one spouse may be treated differently from property acquired during the marriage.
So it isn't always obvious?
Exactly. 2 assets may look similar but be treated differently depending on when they were acquired and how they were used. A house is not always marital property. How property is classified depends on the facts and the laws of the state.
Once property has been classified, how is it divided?
That depends on the laws of the state where the divorce is taking place.
Doesn't everything just get divided 50-50?
Not always.
Why not?
Different states use different approaches to property division.
What do you mean by different approaches?
Some states follow a community property system. In general, community property states often start with the idea that marital property is divided equally between spouses.
And the other approach?
Most states use a system called equitable distribution. In general, this means the court tries to divide marital property in a way it considers fair under the circumstances. Fair does not always mean exactly equal. To better understand the types of assets and options couples may encounter during a divorce, let's look at a fictional scenario. This example isn't meant to show how every divorce is decided. Instead, it introduces some common assets and options couples may consider. Imagine a couple named John and Lisa who have been married for 15 years and are divorcing in Illinois. John and Lisa also have 2 teenage children. Their youngest child still has 2 years left in high school. During their marriage, they accumulated a house, savings, retirement accounts, and other assets. Lisa also inherited money from her grandmother, which may be treated differently under the law.
The biggest issue for me was the house. I'd really like to keep it if possible. My job is only about 15 minutes away, and I've lived in this area since I was a teenager. I'd really like to keep the house.
John discusses the situation with his attorney.
You might keep the house, and Lisa could receive other assets of similar value. If that doesn't work for both of you, selling the house may be another option.
I hadn't thought about it that way. I need some time to think about which option makes the most sense.
Meanwhile, Lisa is having a similar conversation with her attorney.
I wanted to keep the house too. We've lived there for years. Our children grew up there, and I hoped our youngest could stay in the same school until graduation.
Lisa, the $50,000 gift from your grandmother may be yours to keep. A judge may consider it separate property. However, the house is different. Since you and your husband purchased it after you got married, a judge may consider it marital property. Before making that decision, find out whether you can refinance the mortgage and comfortably afford the monthly payments. It's also helpful to think about which assets matter most to you, because understanding each person's priorities can make settlement negotiations easier.
As John and Lisa learn more about their options, they begin thinking about what solution may work best for their family and finances.
I like that example. It sounds like keeping an asset isn't just about what you want today. You also need to think about your future after the divorce. So people can negotiate and reach their own agreement, but it still has to follow the law and be approved by the court.
Generally speaking, yes.
And if they can't agree?
Then a judge may decide the remaining issues for them.
I think I'd rather reach an agreement than have a judge decide everything for me. What about states where people talk about a 50-50 split?
Different states have different laws. Some couples sell the house while others decide that one spouse keeps it. If you're unsure how the laws apply to your situation, you may choose to meet with an attorney to learn about your options. Meeting with an attorney doesn't mean you have to hire them, and some attorneys offer free initial consultations.
That sounds like a good idea. What's the biggest thing viewers should remember?
Before assets can be divided, they generally need to be identified, classified, and evaluated under the laws of the state.
And that's why property division isn't always as simple as a 50-50 split.
Exactly. Remember, asset division is only one part of the financial picture. Debt division and buyout options are often connected to the decisions you make about assets.
We've talked about assets, but what happens to credit cards, car loans, mortgages, and other debts? You may be surprised to learn that even if a divorce order says one spouse is responsible for a debt, the other spouse may still be affected. That's exactly what we'll discuss in our next episode.
When you understand the road ahead, you can guide your divorce in the direction that truly works for your life. And even if you hire a great attorney, you should still stay in the driver's seat, not the back seat where you can't see where things are headed. But you don't have to go through this alone. The right knowledge at the right time can change everything. Laws vary, but smart strategies don't. Divorce information. Always by your side.